you'll be able to watch all that is happening here on Plot 12, Mutilene. We're on Bomo Hill, right opposite Ntare School. Mbara is busy this morning. I don't know where I went to Jovok. I took my son to Jovok and they denied him an admission because he wasn't Catholic enough and he did come from Western.
An activity today.
Yes, so Chapa is on the Chapa League, the finale, the grand finale is happening today, I think. I mean Chapa, even Jovok. Will that be known? Anyway, we shall get to see that. The city is full of people from Kampala and it's beautiful. I hope the service providers, our hotels, the bars, the restaurants are making some killer for that. And want to appreciate everyone that is here. And if you're a first timer, Western Uganda's biggest radio gives you an opportunity to spike up your sales promotion. Let me give you a recap of the week before we get into it. Now, the first Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for the East African Community, Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, who was the Speaker of Parliament, after losing to the current Speaker of Parliament as the second Vice Chairperson of the National Resistance Movement, had a home welcoming where she actually dismissed any rumors of her leaving the NRM, and he said she was one of the pioneers of the NRM and she's not going anywhere. There was a mammoth crowd and the people in Busoga made a very loud statement. That very clear. Now, Collins Tanga trounced Brenda Chichoncho in the NRM National Youth League race. He claimed victory with 68% decisive vote. Now, that's literally a landslide. The votes were 2,185. Brenda Chichoncho had 1,017 votes. I think that's, how do they call it? The father now has nothing on his hands. It made him clean, exonerated him literally. After getting that victory. Now, the NRM also conducted the NRM Youth MP vote. This Wakund has been following very closely. I am very sure he will give us that feel. Mwine Tumwebaze garnered 40%, beating Elizabeth Kakwanzi 31.4%. I didn't see that happening. But Kakwanzi, who for some reason was viral a while ago, was trounced even when we thought she was very powerful. We would see her on Salem Saleh's, General Saleh's birthday the other time. She was all over the place with the president. I think John Turinawe is right when he told me those that are very close to power have repeatedly lost in the youth election. And also in Buganda, we know that Bejra, Samuel won with 78%. That's literally a landslide, and that race had a couple of candidates. The national youth vote, female, Ampide Diana Kampe beat her closest rival, Kanyesi Jemasi, by 58.6% to 38.9%. Then in northern Uganda, Elma Kapel Chala won by 74.7%. Against Moses Chidega, who had 20%. I know Moses Chidega personally. I actually thought Moses would pull it off very easily. I was in for a shock. Then also, there have been conflicting statements from officials from the embassy in Abu Dhabi about the UAE's reported decision to impose visa restrictions on Ugandan citizens starting 2026 over a documentary by the BPC over sex trafficking of some Ugandans. Then NUP's presidential candidates' nominations hangs in balance as the Electoral Commission states that the party did not provide sufficient signatures for the nomination of the candidate from particular districts. Then the judiciary held the 8th Benedicto Kiwanuka Memorial Lecture. The issue of bail was more pronounced. That also there. Then Minister of Justice and President General of the Democratic Party, Honorable Norbert Mao, said that there is now two groups of people, or two groups. One that has NRM, DP, UPC, DF, FDC, and the other has other different political parties that he said were poisonous, and the transition will not come out of an election. Rather, things are happening. But we are talking about the statements that were made by Major General Kahinda Tafire, who doubles as the Internal Affairs Minister, on the fear of what is happening in this country with our justice system, having Dr. Kanobe CJ in jail for literally about 10 months now, close to that. And what does that mean for those historicals, especially that fought for the liberty and freedom of this country and seeing the state of affairs. Well, help me welcome Wakunda Bruce. Good morning, and thank you for making it for the big set.
Good morning, Westgate. Good morning to my fellow panelists, and good morning to the listeners. And thank you for having us today. We look forward to good deliberations.
Yes, how was your week?
I've had a very good week. Not bad. Finally, my party, the National Resistance Movement, had the opportunity to have youth elections for the Central Executive Committee for the Youth League, and also for regional representation, youth across these regions. Thankfully, these elections had been very controversial, that led to their suspension by the party chairman and SEC. And I want to appreciate SEC for finally sitting and decentralizing the process to the districts. And I think if it was a litmus test, if they were indeed trying to test the system, next time we do not have to have all those people in their thousands go to Kololo. We can have the exercises in our districts. The elections were generally free and fair, spare for some interference. It is alleged that some of these are proxy candidates for some powerful people with different interests. So part of the state machinery, I understand in some areas, the entire government system, DSOs, RISOs, the RDCs, were going about intimidating people. And the youth are not an exception. There was allegations of voter bribery. But it is good that we've had these elections. We hope now to go into general election and win. That's how my week was.
Okay. Council Bwenje Dos Didit is a lawyer. Welcome to the show, and good morning.
I'm so happy to be here again. Of course, as the interim president general of the SWAP. This is an organization which is known by the EC, so it's not funny, surely.
No, I was expecting. I was looking out for Bruce Wakunda's response.
The swamp.
Yes.
No, and you see, I don't like to talk to people who are very emotional, who talk out of spite and malice and bias and emotion
and hate.
I don't think it's hate. I think it is disregard of the facts.
Okay.
You like to deal with people who talk out of reason, because there's no doubt that we are recognized
what is
by the
communicating
EC.
that I'm unreasonable?
Because if you call it swamp,
yes,
then I think you are sure. You're kind of trying to vulgarize our debate and our existence as a people who have taken the decision to associate. Of course, over the week, as the interim president general of the SWAP, I managed to get a court order in respect of the death of our member. Denmark had used. The court ordered the OCCID here at the CPS to transmit some parts of the file to him for purposes of perusal in the decision on an application for an inquest into what exactly caused the death of Denmark. So as the SWAP, we are really hopeful that maybe we can get to have accountability and answers for how our member died. He was not only our member, but also a friend, a student, and a very vibrant member of the opposition. And so, of course, his death was strange, and we expect to have some answers at the end of the day. If indeed he died out of an accident, so be it. But if there is some foul play or some violence, then the person responsible has to face the long hand of the law.
Okay.
Then, of course, on the 8th of October of this year, which is, I think, around 18 days away, we are going to mark the promulgation of our constitution
The
30 years ago. 30 years ago. Our constitution, of course, which is the grand norm and supersedes all the laws in our country, it was the best constitution that we have ever had until, of course, it was amended in 2017 and 2005. Of course, our swap, it's not good to see that many members of government or officers of government do not respect our constitution, especially the CDF.
Okay.
And we are, of course, concerned about the current state of affairs in our country. And
perhaps we shall link that to
and of course are steadfast in calling upon every person in Uganda, the wananchi and the government, to respect the terms and provisions of our constitution.
Thank you so much, and welcome to the show. We'll welcome our guest for the very first time, the Guild President of Mbara University of Science and Technology, Mr. Are you called Your Excellency? Ariho Laki is a member of the National Inter Platform. Good morning and good to see you.
Yes, thank you so much, Banyagi. My name again is Ariho Laki Turumba. You can choose to call me His Excellency or not. Some
Yes.
people choose not to call it.
Oh, it's only a preserve of the fountain of honor, but yes, please.
Those are some of the considerations, but I'm happy to be here. I've had a rather eventful week in the political sphere of Uganda, considering I am a member of NUP. Yesterday we saw the EC coming out and confirming, or rather lying, I really don't know which is which, that we did not have the necessary signatures for our president to get nominated, while at the same time we had previously raised concerns that that RDCs and other people in different districts, especially in up-country Uganda, were making calls to different people who had actually signed for our president to get nominated and threatening them. And these people ended up saying, no, I did not sign. So that's one of the reasons the EC based on to discredit these signatures. But those are some of the things we really wait and hope to see. And I could say it's part of the confirmation to some of the statements, the blatant ones that have been made, that there is a bloc which is supposed to be part of Uganda's transition, and some who are not allowed, and that elections won't be the way of transition. I mean, how do you someone who has submitted almost over 130 signatures per district for over 130 districts, and then you come out and say they do not have enough signatures? Yeah, but we wait to see how it turns out.
But at least I've seen a communique from the Secretary General of your party, literally publicly inviting citizens in all those different districts to trek the journey to Kavule and submit their signatures. Do you see this happening where Ugandans that will come from Soro or whatever these districts are to go to Kavule to simply submit their NIN numbers?
That might not be the case, but we are lucky to know that first of all, we have to admit that most of the struggle is in central Uganda. And we know that these districts are well represented in central Uganda by people who are supposed to vote from their different up-country regions. And you could actually think that it was a selective discrimination of these particular districts. If you look at the list of the districts which were called for people to come and submit more signatures, they are only up-country districts, because they knew it would be hard for the National Unity Platform to actually coordinate and get these signatures on time. But I am confident, very confident, that we are going to get them. First of all, from central Uganda or Kampala itself, and even from the regions.
Right.
The weekend is long. We shall surely get the signal.
Thank you so much, and I welcome you, Mr. Ariho Laki, the Guild President for MAST. Good morning, Sifa Safi, and welcome to the show. I want to tell the listeners, Sifa is late, but we shall take that away. Good morning, Sifa.
Better late than never. Thank you so much, Banyaji. Good morning, my fellow panelists, and good morning, our dear listeners. glad to be here, and we thank the Almighty Allah for the good life, for the morning. Some people did not make it.
Indeed.
So who are we? Allow me Banyaji to congratulate Odoi, Tanga Collins. I think it has painted a different picture altogether. That was quite good. Much as some people thought he had made it the other day because of the father, I think he has disproved them. And allow me also to congratulate Tanzania as a country, East Africa and Africa at large, for the gold medal in Tokyo. That is in the marathon. He did so well. I'm so happy about it. And also I'm happy that the notorious trafficker for girls to Dubai for sex trade has been at least unmasked. I think something is going to be done. Because like we said last time, yes, we want our girls and boys to go there and make some good money, but at least not through such dubious ways. And I think something might be done. Sorry?
She's still a
Yeah, it is alleged. Yeah, he's still a suspect. But I hope the investigations will bring us to what exactly we need.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sifosapi. We're stopping for a breather. When we come back, we'll be right into the topic of discussion. Don't forget that you can be a part of the show when you contribute on our social media handles, 912 Cruise FM on X and 91.2 Cruise FM on Facebook. The numbers to call in is 752-912-912 and 780-912-910. Let's be back after these messages. Good morning.
It's tough, it's bold, it's real politics. The Big Seat on 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music.
Great music.
Great friends.
Great friends.
it's bold. It's real politics. The Big Seat on 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music.
Great music.
Great friends.
Great friends.
All right, we're back. It's 29 minutes past 9 o'clock on Western Uganda's biggest radio station, 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music, great friends. Good morning. My name is Wesige Banyaji. I want to appreciate all those that are locked on their radio. I'm pretty sure there are spaces that just never turn down the sound. Peka Mega Supermarket, as you're going to Ruti, day-to-day supermarket here at High Street. I know Robes, there's a supermarket, Robes, in Akubiri. And all these spaces, if you know that you keep it very loud, Mark and Sing there is a home of chapati there. It's very loud and everyone is listening to the big set. Want to appreciate you so much. But the VIPs are those that stream in live out of frequency. You're in Dubai, you're in Qatar, you're in Johannesburg. In all these places, cruisefm.com/stream, you're listening in. And those that are watching on Cruise TV, that's on YouTube and TikTok, just type in Cruise TV. You'll be able to watch all that is happening here on Plot 12 Muti. Now the numbers to call for people like Madilu Inihima that are always listening and calling to contribute, and Chris and Saja is 752-912-912 and 780-912-910. Now November Love is coming close. We almost slowly nearing up to November, but don't wait for November to spike up the sales of your business. What you do is that you reach out on us on Plot 12 Muti Lane, right opposite Ntare School on Boma, and we shall give you discounted rates for advertising. You might have an event that you want the whole country to know, or you have a product that you want to promote and you don't know where to start. Come and we talk. We shall give you very good advertising rates. And also, I want to let you know that you can contribute on our social media. The topic is already there. We're talking about Kahinda Utafide's statements. He's a worried man. If at all you've read all these books of the historicals, from How I Saw It, or by Pecos Kutesa, Betrayed by My Leader, by Major John Kazora, and there's so many books, and Mustard Seed by General Museveni, and there's so many that I've written. Have been written. The name Major General Kahinda Tafide features prominently. And we know for sure that if he comes out to say he's worried of what is happening in this country, then we cannot take it lightly. Now, while addressing an engagement by the Uganda Law Society, the Minister of Internal Affairs created a spotlight on the different opposition leaders that they detained without trial. The minister openly challenged the courts, nation heading to tense violent elections. What does this really mean for the rule of law? And this is our topic of discussion. He's worried that if we went to fight what Amin was doing in 1971, and now he's hearing of people that are being abducted, and some are killed, there is no civic space for anyone to engage, and literally people are suffocated. The guild president here of MUST just said it is an intention of the NRM and government to frustrate the NUB, to have signatures and have their candidate nominated. So all this is creating fear, and we now want to understand what does this really mean. And to help me discuss this and much more is Bruce Owakunda, who is a member of the National Resistance Movement. He's a big seater. Kanso Bwenje Deusdidit is a lawyer. I have Mr. Ariho Laki, who is the guild president for Mbara University of Science and Technology, and Sifa Safi, who is a big seater. Let me start with Owakunda. I'm pretty sure that you followed closely what happened at the Uganda Law Society, the statements that were made by Kahinda Tafide. First, I'm very sure that you are not surprised. Ever since the declaration of General Muhoozi Kainerugab's interest to be president, General Kahinda Tafide has been very clear on his position on first the rule of law, but also on dissent. What's your reading of the statements of Kahinda Tafide?
Well, thank you, SJ. That's the nature and character of General Kahinda Tafide, if you followed him closely for some time. In fact, at one point I saw the president, he was talking to certain investors in the presence of Dr. Fide, and he said Dr. Fide is like Trump. Utafire is brutal. He's brutally honest. He's a very forthright person. And he's on record several times. For example, his mind is known on what we call succession. Like you said, transition of power from President Museveni to his son. He has outrightly said, me, I'm not in support. In fact, at one function in Kahinda, he said, why do you need a standby generator when there is electricity, when there is umeme? And he, in fact, said, generate fire. But I agree with him, and the good thing, he was talking to the people that mattered. He said it straight to the face of the Attorney General, Kirio Wakiwanuka. We can all agree that the rule of law is a principal rule in governance. One of the things that we take pride in as NRM is the restoration of democracy. It was point number 1 in the 10-point program. And it has been at the center of our doctrine. For instance, Wesige, the state up to now has failed to account for Sam Mugumya. It is now coming close to a month. His family is saying, if he's dead, bring the man. If he's... And the PRO, the spokesperson of the army, said the man has a history of disappearance. I don't know if he just flew to heaven or or something like that. But I think all well-meaning Ugandans should continue to demand that if the man has a case, he should be brought to court and charged formally. What Kahinda Tafire said, I've said on this show before. If you think Chiza Besigye is a criminal, you say he's charged is guilty of treachery, illegal possession of firearms, he wanted to assassinate the president. I think it is in the best interest of the state that you arraign him before competent courts of law, you expedite the processes. And for me, I've said I have confidence in these institutions. It does not take a year for you to do thorough investigations and get to the bottom of these issues. But when Besigye was on hunger strike, the president made a comment. He actually wrote a very long letter, and he said that was unprincipled blackmail. But he said, I've seen some people trying to ask for reconciliation, that he had received delegations, some from Rukunjiri, comprising of even church leaders. He said that is not the way we treat criminals. What you should be asking for is a speedy trial.
But Bruce, I could borrow. It's not the first time that a group of people from where one of an accused person comes from, trying to lobby the president to let them free. We saw General Kihura. People of Tsoro went and pleaded that this person should be freed. We know the people of Kabari came out and called out to the president to have Mchiga replace Professor Muteviri as bank governor, and the president has obliged. Why is it very different that when the people of Rukunjiri, especially the religious leaders, call on the president on that same background, then he says it's unprincipled and that's not how things are done?
But is that right? No, that every time I commit a crime, my kinsmen and women should go and plead, and I do not face the law? That is not right. But the president said...
But isn't it double standards, though? We could also clear that.
It does not make it right, whether it is double standards or not. If you are a criminal, you should be charged and face the law. It does not matter whether you're related to Banyaji or you are instrumental in the kingdom. We are all equal before the law. There should not be an exception. But the president said, he asked Binobyonani Abireta and said it is the Supreme Court that saw gaps in the court martial and said we should transfer charges to the
civilian court.
To the civilian court. But for me, I believe Besigye should be at least granted bail if they cannot prosecute him, if they cannot expedite the processes, because he's being denied his rights. Charge him, convict him, or let the man walk free. Okay. Simple as that.
Before I come to counsel on the rule of law, let me engage Mr. Iriho. during the 1970s, when there were disappearances and there was a breakdown to constitutionalism and all this suppression that was happening to Ugandans, young people of the likes of General Gregory Mchamuntu, Kare Kihura, Rijema Jessa, Paul Kagame, said, no, this is unacceptable. We are not going to allow things to remain as they are. We must fight for the liberty and the freedom of our people. And they liberated this country. They were precisely about your age, slightly older. They acted, they did something. We're in a situation where Besigye is coming to almost a year in jail. They were your own foot soldiers that were imprisoned, incarcerated prior to the 2021 elections. They are still in jail, some of them. And we go and sleep, drink and party, and life is going on as smoothly. And no one is saying, no, it should not happen, and we are going to act. And the state cannot conduct this as business as usual. Why is it complacency on your side this time around?
First of all, you have to appreciate the fact that Uganda has seen a general ideological change. The current state of affairs in Uganda, be it political, be it economic, be it social, it's rather unprecedented, partly contributed by the fact that there has been a regime in power for close to 40 years now, which wasn't the case before. So this regime has had, I can say, the opportunity to consolidate its power, to consolidate its structures, to bully actually, and boot out potential revolution, potential actual opposition. We have seen this regime continuously suppressing youth activities. We have seen this regime actually infiltrating youth structures in Uganda. We have seen the regime infiltrating Uganda National Students Association. We have seen the regime infiltrating National Youth Council. In that, in some of these structures, if you're not affiliated to NRM, you have no chance to actually be involved and engaged in the leadership, be involved and also know how these things go. So if you do not get a chance at some of these leadership structures as youth, how are you going to get the chance to actually rally youth to come up and maybe...
This wasn't the case. This wasn't the case in the 80s and 70s when the young people stood up and resisted the impunity of General Amin.
Actually, you would say that we are dealing with a regime which started with the same roots. People like YK Museveni actually started their whole revolutionary journey when they were still students at university. You understand, of course, that Museveni was mostly in Tanzania, where he wasn't really being suppressed. He was actually being supported to become revolutionary by the then government of Tanzania. But we've seen a regime which suppresses even student activities, youth activities. Makerere, which used to be the beacon of political, activism in Uganda, currently is really a shadow of its former self. We have seen guild presidents being suppressed because of being affiliated to the opposition. Maybe we have seen guild presidents being bought off because they are related to the opposition. We have seen strikes being condemned, and peaceful demonstrations. Anything like a peaceful demonstration right now at a university will earn you automatic expulsion. We've seen the case with the guild president of Chambogo, who was NUP, by the way, was expelled almost indefinitely. So we've seen a continuous suppression of any form of ideological, uprising, because these people know the power it has. So they know it can actually cause them a lot of trouble, because that's where they started themselves. So they know it's danger and they continuously suppress it.
Do we blame it on the state, or we blame it on the weak young people that cannot rise up to speak their mind on some of these positions?
The young people have actually tried to rise up. I would like to maybe remind you that the very first anti-age limit removal demonstration was held by Makerere University students.
Yes? Do you know how it ended? That one that was read by who? Papa Were Salim.
Yes.
Do you know how where he ended?
Does it matter?
Why not?
No, give
But
us the
first-
information clearly.
Tell us, please. You can
Please,
remind
you
us.
tell us.
You can remind us.
That man, it is on record, bagged close to 100 million in exchange for seizing those strikes.
Do you know
Exactly, and
that what you just said
that was one of-
is good ground for cause of action defamation.
It does
Yes,
not
and-
matter.
no, that was one of the.
It does not matter.
That
Yes.
was actually one of the things I mentioned. That we are seeing young revolutionary people being bought off or being suppressed.
And you don't want to blame yourself for that.
No,
And you don't want to
If you are
blame
a
yourself for
serious
that.
person, of
Yes.
Revolutionary.
No, there are different cases. One of the other students involved in that was Musiri David, who some of us are aware that he actually spent, both of them even were
Mr. Riho, in
spent
Kenya,
8 years
we can
before
borrow
he
from different jurisdictions.
Yeah.
In Kenya, young people are fundamentally clear
Yes.
on their position as regards service delivery and governance in that country.
Kenya does not have.
They caused a drop of the finance bill.
Yes.
They caused a suspension of cabinet, literally.
Dissolution.
The dissolution of cabinet.
Yes.
Where is the position of young people in regards to the governance of our country?
The difference is Kenya does not have a military government. They actually have state structures which work, including the army, including the police. In Kenya, we do not really see a lot of these political, I don't want to call them abductions, political illegal arrests. We do not see them a lot in Kenya. In Kenya, we do not have regimes that have spent 35 years in power to consolidate and infiltrate each and every structure. So these youth have they have a relative level of freedom to actually develop their ideological thinking and structure, which is not the case for Uganda.
Discussing message and the man was picked from
Let me get
from
yes.
Kenya.
Yes. Let me, you've given it well. Let me come to council. I'll come back to you, Lucky.
Okay.
Council on elements of the rule of law. General Kahinda Tafiri was very clear.
Yes.
If someone has committed an offense and state is interested, why not summon him or arrest him, align him before courts of law, have them follow due process, and justice is served? What is this whole thing that even the state itself, a minister, will be called by the Attorney General? I have received a complaint. Can you produce this citizen, this Ugandan? And the same minister says, I don't know. A spokesperson of the UPDF says, we have never arrested that one. The Uganda Police Force says, we don't know that one's whereabouts. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. The president says he will never superintend over a country where a citizen cannot be accounted for. What is the state of affairs, you think, where you stand?
Okay. Now, in our practice of the law, we have something called preliminary objection. And I want to raise that one here and now.
Please.
I don't want to delve into the merits of the statements of Kahinda. I want to attack his right to state them or to make them. He's standing. What right does he have to make the kind of statements that he did? You see, when you are married and you go into and you come in front of people and you say, my wife is evil, she wants to kill me, she's so rude, she does not know her parental and marital obligations and so forth. But then at night you go back to the same bed with her. Then it means you are not sure of what you're saying. So General Kahinda is still a serving minister of the government of the Republic of Uganda. Now, he has no right at all to say what he said. If you think that the government of the day, I mean the CDF, the UPDF, the internal security organizations, are doing bad, then why are you still a member of government? You see, in the national order of precedence, a minister of cabinet ranks at number 10. The CDF ranks at number 28. The IGP at number 29. The Commissioner General of Prisons at number 30. So a Minister of Internal Affairs comes up and says, I don't agree with what the CDF or the UPDF are doing. And okay, so what now? So if you think that the CDF and the UPDF are above your control as a Minister of Internal Affairs, then why don't you resign? You see? So the CDF, the IGP, the Commissioner General of
prisons,
the prisons officers, the police officers, the members of the UPDF, and the members of all internal security organizations are under the Ministry of Internal Affairs. They are under him.
Correct.
So we cannot accept him to come before us and show us that he has concern for the people, yet he must have control of these officers. I've not seen a single letter from him as the Minister of Internal Affairs directed to the IGP, to the CDF, to stop harassing the people of Uganda. It's not there. So his words and of course statements have no purpose. They have no effect at all. And I wish he hadn't said them because they don't help us. He's a minister who does not bark. He doesn't even bite. Okay? So why should I even now delve into the substance of what he said? Because even after saying those same statements, as he did, he went back to a VX, reserved for a Minister of Cabinet.
Did you want him to go back by border?
He should resign. Because his statements actually show us that he's not in control.
Okay.
A person who ranks at number 28 is more powerful, more authoritative, and more influential than you who ranks at number 12.
Thank you.
We cannot accept that.
Sifa, to take it away from where Council has left it, is General Kahinda's statement simply being sarcastic? Because he knows it's not a matter of just saying that this is wrong. When you're in office, you ought to act. Do you think it's he's doing it right that he will come and say, I am worried that our country is degenerating? And he has been a minister for 40 years, literally.
Thank you so much, Panyaji, and thanks, my friends, for your submissions. One, that I've always said here that Kahinda Otafire, the general, is one of those people we cannot take for granted, especially to do with the politics of this country. He has contributed quite a lot, and he has been vocal, he has been outspoken, we know all that. But regarding this particular utterances, I don't know the spirit under which Otafire said. Maybe there are some other personal issues that we don't know between him and some other people. And of course, he knows much more than we know as Ugandans, being a minister and having served for all these years, like I said at the beginning. So for me, yes, he's right to say that, but why selectively? You're a lawyer. We know that there are certain characteristics for good laws. They should not be applied selectively. Yes. If you're saying you're fighting for justice, it should be for justice for Ugandans, not because he retired as a colonel and not because he contributed and went to the bush and fought. So if you're saying that Dr. Kizabesije should be granted bail, that is right. That is his constitutional right. But how about other people who are alleged to be incarcerated under unclear circumstances? So like I've always said, there are people who are very much good and responsible as far as this is concerned. There are people who know why he has not been granted bail. Because you have said he's being charged, they are related to treason and all that. It is not going to be like someone who has stolen a goat, Banyaji, because you can investigate that case within 2 or 3 days. So for me, they are saying it is much big and we need more time to investigate and come out with thorough and sufficient evidence. So I wouldn't come and rush and say, why has he not been granted bail? Since we know even people who have been charged with things like maybe impersonation and all that, and have not been granted bail. So for me, it would have made a lot of sense for me if he had come out and said we need justice for Ugandans A, B, C, D, but not Dr. Besigye, and specifically him. Like I said, not because he has he fought and all that. So for me, Kahinda Otafire, respected, with the due respect, has been, like I said, outspoken, but this time around he has not scored, like Council Wendy said. Why this time that he's coming out to say such a thing? Mr. Besigye has been under incarceration for...
at least we know that General Kahinda Otafire has been consistent on some of the elements that he observed about governments. Even when he's within, he has been very clear to say, I think this is wrong.
That is true.
Electronic number plates.
Yes.
His foot was very clear on the ground and said this is a scheme to extort people. In fact, at one point he said, I wrote to the president. I don't know whether he got that letter.
Very good. He said it is extorting people, Ugandans. That was John, and that is what I'm fighting for, and that is what I'm advocating
in fact,
for. It should not be selective.
Sifa, at least we know that General Kahinda at one time said Uganda is not a monarch. We should not allow this whole notion of the president ceding to the son.
Exactly.
And
but
this
like
is
I
a serving
said,
minister.
But like I said, that was quite personal. Those are issues between him and the first family, or between him and President Museveni and his son, not on behalf of Ugandans. Because like I said, you might put it to vote and some people will say we want General Mhozi. So you will not say he's not going to come because it's not a monarch, because you are General Kahinda Otafire. So what I'm saying, some of these things might be personal. Maybe he's fighting his personal battles that some of us cannot join. I told you that if he said it is not a monarch, maybe he had some point. And those people who are not in for General Mhozi will say he is right. But those who support him will say it is not incumbent upon you to tell us who to come next, as long as we put it to vote. So that is quite controversial. But for me, like I said, Banyaji, he should come out and say we want justice for Ugandans, and he should state the reasons why and how. But like Council Wendy said, how has he acted ever since he started advocating for the same? Mr. Kano Otafire has been, rather Kano Besigye has been, yes, in prison for all those years. Now I understand over how many days. But what has he done in regard to the same? And what is he planning, or what is he suggesting they should do? Because you cannot just tell me that Mr. Kano, the Kano should be released just like that. And I want to believe that if they said we wanted sureties for Dr. Besigye, I don't think Mr. Otafire would come out and present himself as one. So for me, saying something is one thing and acting upon it is another. We need justice for Ugandans, yes, but Ugandans should also be reminded, Banyaji, that they have freedoms. Again, they have rights, yes, but they have freedoms and obligations and responsibilities to fulfill.
Yes.
If you're Ugandan, yes, you have a right. For me, in this case, some people are going to fall up just like that because Kahinda Otafire said these things, and they will start becoming criminals simply because Kahinda Otafire said we want justice. So what I'm telling the youth especially is, this time we are coming to is quite sensitive. Do not be used because you think some ministers will come out and oppose what is happening. Just because General Otafire came out and said people there should be justice does not mean that when you commit crime you will not be dealt with.
All
You'll
right.
be dealt with absolutely, because the law still stands and it works in Uganda.
Let's link up in the second hour of the show. Don't forget that you can be a part of the conversation on 752-912-912 and 780-912-910. Good morning.
It's tough, it's bold, it's real politics. The Big Seat on 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music,
Great music.
great friends.
Great friend.
Real politics. The Big Seat on 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music,
Great music.
great friends.
Great friends.
All right, we are back. It's 2 minutes past 10 o'clock on Western Uganda's biggest radio station, 91.2 Cruise FM. Good music, good friends. My name is Wesige Banyaji, and the show happens every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. to 11. We sit to talk about matters that concern every Ugandan across the country, from Chidepo to Kisoro, governance, economics, law, politics, name it. It's bold, interactive, and you can be a part of it in a very good way by call on 752-912-912 and 780-912-910. But also on our social media handles, 912 Cruise FM on X and 91.2 Cruise FM on Facebook. That's why we've put our question of topic of discussion this morning. You can drop us a line. We shall be able to read some of the messages. But also, if you want to watch all that is happening, you see how Sifa is looking beautiful this morning, how Wakunda is being very categorical about his deliberations. You can be able to watch it on Cruise TV. Just type in Cruise TV on YouTube. You'll be able to watch all that is happening here on Plot 12, Moti Lane. Now, we are talking about the statements that were made by Major General Kahinda Tafide, retired, and he doubles as the Internal Affairs Minister, on the rule of law and constitutionalism. Why are Ugandans disappearing without trace? What is the responsibility of the Attorney General in this? Where is police and the UPDF? We know certainly there is a couple of families, up to date, they don't have trace of their kins from way back in 2000, prior to 2021 elections. There are still MUNOP supporters that are incarcerated. Chibalamai is still not known up to today. We know that there is a gentleman who was working in Seka Market, who was Damulida is also not being traced up to date. And we know a couple of other people that have disappeared without trace. But there was also an element of bail, because it was amplified during the 8th Benedicto Chwanaka Memorial Lecture on if Besije is accused of committing offenses against either the person of the president or the state, and the law is clear, why not allow him go through the entire due process? If the law allows him to get bail and the right to apply for bail, what influences the discretion of the judicial officer? So these are some of the elements that we are talking about, and what does this mean? But interestingly, the spotlight is on where is the country heading, because that was the fear and the worry of the minister. He's asking, some of the things that I'm watching happening in our country, they caused us to go to the bush in 1981. Isn't it very possible that if Ugandans are pushed against the wall, they could act the same way? Bruce Wakunda, is there a possibility that Ugandans could say, I think we've had enough. How about we go the Museveni way? After all, we know it's not in ancient times that we've seen governments trampled because of things like this.
And you're asking him?
Yes. I am asking Bruce Wakunda.
Which Museveni way?
I mean...
Of picking arms and going to Maramagambo forest here.
I can authoritatively confirm to you that it is practically impossible now to pick arms and wage on a legitimate government like Museveni's. But if you want to do that, you go and try it. Muntu has told you time and again that if you're thinking about a protracted war struggle that involves picking up arms and going to the bushes, he wishes you well, because there are other means now to confront government.
But it is
only natural.
Isn't it possible that citizens that are oppressed could push back?
I'm saying it is only natural.
Yes.
By pushing people to the wall, definitely they are going to react. But I've told you now, like I said here in this show last Saturday, people have now taken activism and advocacy to other means. For instance, people have embraced media. You saw what happened in Nepal. It was just because they had banned the social media. When people were advocating for for anti-corruption activities. So it is only natural that if people are deprived of their rights and the only choice they have is to fight back, they will always fight back. But for me, I want to disagree with the Bwenji on this. It is not that every disagreement in a family must lead to divorce. Kahinda has spoken. Already we are having a conversation. We are exchanging ideas on this. You see, leadership demands that you are very courageous and bold to point out to these issues. So it is not true for Bwenji to stand here and say that if I speak out and say my wife is a thief, then I shouldn't go back and we sleep together. I know of a couple when a man cheats and the wife finds out, the wife blames the devil, they pray and go back to bed. Isn't that marriage sustainable? So for me, I'm happy that Kahinda Tafire is coming out also to add a voice on the people that are demanding for their rights, that are demanding for good governance, that are demanding for constitutionalism. So Kahinda Tafire cannot just out of the blue, because he is unable to do A and B, that he should resign. Yet he can do C, D, X, Y, and Z. That is not reasonable enough that every time he faces a challenge, then he should resign. But this is a call to action to people in government. If you're saying, like I've said, democracy is part of our doctrine. Yes. You're saying you liberated this country. You're saying you transformed it. People have rights. Then you should grant them those rights. And it does not matter. There should not be selective application of the law. Not just because it is Besigye. I want to agree with my sister Sifa. Not just that because it is Besigye, he can attract attention. International media, all cameras are on him. Everyone is demanding for his release. Who is demanding for the release of a person deep down in China, Mukaka there, who is not known, who is not on the political stage? So government, the state, and President Museveni and government should come out and be clear. And I don't know what would be the problem with, for instance, granting Besigye bail. It is not like it is going to be maybe the first time. You let him sort the issues as he's moving out. But it is only natural that when you push people, they are going to react.
Okay. Sifa, I want to ask you, don't you think the courts are being used by the state to settle politically with opponents? Because it has been raised to mind again that some of this is simply witch hunt. There is no evidence, there is no commission of any offense, but the state is simply creating an hibernation of these individuals, pull them out of the population, let the message shouldn't reach the people, and we keep them behind bars, even when there is no tangible evidence to what they committed. General Tafire said, if this man committed offenses, the evidence can be presented before courts of law and is convicted. But for as far as we can know the public, he's an innocent man. Are courts being used politically?
I don't think they are. Maybe in some cases they are, but that is incumbent upon someone who says the same to prove so. But for me, I don't want to believe that whenever you are an opposition politician, then you cannot win in courts of law. We have seen several cases, relatedly, land, political, elections and all that. How come that the same judges who ruled that these people have been have won those cases in courts are the same people who at the same time in some cases say these people have lost it? So for me, I don't want to paint a picture in the ears of Ugandans, in the eyes of Ugandans, that if you're opposition you cannot do anything in this country. That is what some people are saying, that where we are going, opposition politicians are going to be kidnapped, arrested, whatever word they want to use. But I don't want to believe this. This is a guild president from Barra University, and you have told me he's a NUP member of
yes.
He's a NUP member. He's here, and I believe he's going to go out and do other things when he has said whatever he has said, or any other person, me or any other person. So for me, like I said, yes, we have rights, but we have freedoms. Just use it within whatever your limits. I want to tell you that we have seen politicians who have been, even here in Mbarara recently, there are opposition politicians who are arrested. Nope, I think. That is when, during that time of the burial of our colleague here, the late...
in Denmark.
Yes. Some people are arrested, but they were released. I want to tell you that when you're arrested, when you're innocent, it will be proved innocent and you'll be released. That has happened.
But at what cost, Sifa? If someone is going to be incarcerated for 5 years, for them to be proven innocent, then it's the reverse of the law, because if the law says there's a presumption of innocence,
Yeah.
and now someone has to serve on remand for 4 years and then is exonerated,
Yeah, that you're
then,
right.
then it's literally saying you're guilty until proven innocent.
That's true, Banyaji. That is very bad. Actually, that's where some people suggest that before you arrest someone, at least it should be something like 90% of investigations, so that you can at least complete the 10%. I'm giving an example. So yeah, it is very bad that someone is incarcerated. After 3 years, they tell you you're free. You didn't do anything. You're not guilty of anything and that. But for me, there should be some kind of compensation for those people, because you're not going to bring them back home. That has happened. It has happened. But at least compensate them for their time, for their health, and all that. But I want to tell Ugandans that it's not only opposition politicians. We know people who have committed other crimes, not political related, and have been incarcerated. By the end of the day, they say you are not guilty, not necessarily opposition. So for me, it's not about opposition. Let us not fix it to opposition. It should be Ugandans. Like I said, if you are talking of justice, it should be uniform across all sides of the political divide. So it's not about opposition, it's not about politics, it's not about message, it's about Ugandans.
Okay.
Like my friend Bruce said, there are some people down there whose voices cannot be heard. So it is up to us, and especially the people in power, like the minister said they want justice, yes, but he should say Ugandans should be served equally, not selectively. The law should apply equally, not selectively. That's when it's going to make sense. Okay. But also, Banyaji, to complete on that, I want to tell Ugandans that yes, like I said, we know we are going to a season where we have rights to, air out what we want to say and what. But those people are starting to tell you that you can get guns and like my friend said, it's almost impossible in Uganda here that you're going to rise up in arms and fight President Museveni. During those times of the Arab Spring, people thought they were going to apply the same year in Uganda, but what happened? That is when we saw some of these people being arrested. So you can just raise up your voice, you can say something, you can write something, you can go to platforms and say whatever, but these things of being used, unjustly, and things which are unlawful in Uganda, you're going to pay the cost. And I want to remind you that these people who send you to do those things, the leaders of opposition and other people, even in NRM, someone is going to come and say that Uganda attack a certain group of people. They are not there. Their sons or daughters are not there. It is you, the street people, the daughters of farmers, the sons of border riders that are going to be used for these things. When you die for your parents and for yourself,
okay.
not for Uganda.
Thank you, Sifa. I'm going to, I want to engage you. First of all, let me just oppose what we are talking about is as far as the statements of the Internal Affairs Minister to the memorial lecture of Benedict Okiwanika, where the Chief Justice said, this is the due process. This is what the law says.
That is hypocrisy,
You've been arrested, you've been charged, you've been aligned for mention in court, and it's the discretion of a judicial officer to say whether your bail application can be allowed or dismissed. And why you hanging Justice Baguma for saying, sir, even when you have a constitutional right to apply for bail, the discretion is also upon me as a judicial officer to say, well, on the grounds that I know, you don't qualify to live at large.
Someone said it is called reasonless exercise of discretion.
Engage us on that.
Maybe, of course, to say something on that. As the Uganda Law Society, we did not participate in that event, okay, of yesterday's memorial lecture, and the reason is that our president advised us not to attend it because yes, the logos are there, but we never gave a speech. And why? Because we were not part of the agenda. There was no speech of the lawyers. Okay. And of course, it was brought about by the fact that there is some acrimony between the Uganda Law Society and the Office of the Chief Justice. But and of course, the president of the Uganda Law Society, his perception was that we must walk with the talk. Okay, we are talking about Uganda's first Chief Justice, the first indigenous head of the bench.
Who is he?
Okay, we are talking about the first president of the DP. We are talking about a career politician, Ben Chiwanuka, and what he fought for. And remember, this is an individual who was abducted the same way members of the NUP are being abducted. his remains have never been seen again. We don't know if he's alive or dead. And of course, there is a statutory presumption of death if you spend if you spend 7 years without being seen alive by your next of kin and so forth, you are presumed to be dead under the Penal Code Act. So, officially, he is dead. But the ideas for which he fought, rule of law, constitutionalism, democracy, the free exercise of rights and freedoms, we do not see any of those in the current government. So to hold a lecture in memory of him is an exercise in hypocrisy and futility. It doesn't serve us any purpose and effect. Because if you said he fought for democracy, for freedom from torture, he fought for freedom from forced disappearances, and yet that is the order of the day. So why are we even trying to remember him? So that lecture, I think it serves no purpose at all, because the government which is holding it is not walking the talk. Okay? You must live according to the ideals of the person that you are holding in memory. But the moment your ideals are in conflict with his ideals, then you have no right to remember him. So as the Uganda Law Society, we surely we are not in agreement with what the government is doing. And of course, I want to kind of tell my friend here, Sifa Safi, that some of us are going to remove this government or the next government by force of arms, or we are going to die trying.
Okay, thank you.
It is a revolutionary right and duty of each of us under the 3rd article of the Constitution to remove any order or any government which has tried to usurp the powers of the people. Okay? So you do not have any right at all to keep quiet, and that's actually what kind of was saying. Do not keep quiet when you are being strangled. Speak up. Speak up or die speaking. Okay? So fight or die fighting.
You called it hypocrisy.
Okay? Okay? So I want to urge each of us to develop the spirit of resisting, of trying to say no to every bad state of affairs.
Okay, thank you. I want to engage Mr. Ruho. Or we saw the president make apologies on behalf of his family and the NRM on any kind of mistakes that they've committed and the pain they've caused to a section of Ugandans. They are only human and they're not perfect.
Yeah.
Knowing that now, from that background of the president apologizing and the first lady, to now the minister saying, wait a minute, I think we are messing up here. We need to clean up. Does that give you some optimism that as we gear up for the 2026 elections, perhaps things could be better?
Well, it does not. It only tells me one thing, that I think I and a few other Ugandans who actually hold some spirit of optimism already know that the NRM establishment, many people like to call it the NRA establishment, because really we are still in an army militarized state. This establishment actually won't survive post Museveni. The people in NRM know that. President Museveni and his family have sat down and internalized and seen where they are going, where Uganda is going, where they have brought the country, and realized that their establishment actually won't survive post their era. And right now you could say they are trying to patch things up. They are trying to put a suture or to close a hole, the annual hole in a person with the warrior, because they know things are already going wrong. Their apology was rather I mean, they were just trying to give themselves an emotional, to tell themselves they tried. I mean, we messed up, but we are sorry, we tried. I mean, we are sorry for the future even, because I can assure you, the people reportedly going to replace them, the kind of transition some people are claiming is happening in Uganda is actually, the people replacing them are worse than them. The people, we've seen almost a complete overhaul of the NRM sec, for example. The people coming in place of these guys actually they do not even know the NRM ideology. Most of these people are actually coming to mess things up and make things even worse, only for their personal benefits. Well, it only tells me one thing. Norbert Mao actually mentioned it, that this will be the quietest election ever. And whoever will put their heads up will be crushed down and picked up and kept away. Now, these are some of the statements that we are dealing with here. And you're looking at the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. What does that mean? That the people of Uganda actually, if you find yourself in the teeth of this regime, there will be almost no hope for you. We are seeing, I mean, may his soul rest in peace. We saw what happened with Muhammad Segirinya. We saw he was incarcerated and kept away for all those years, and only when his health was really deteriorating so bad did the state actually release him. Alan Sewanyana was rearrested after being released. We have seen the state use its own judicial processes, which they have, of course, definitely captured, to actually selectively harass. We have seen members of NUP being grabbed up for being involved with the NUP School of Leadership. Doreen Kaija, for example, who is very young, by the way. We have seen people being picked up for supposedly military drills, which I would like to think this is just chakamchaka. Many people in Uganda have done chakamchaka. NRM itself has an establishment in Chankwanzi, so-called patriotism. The other day, teachers were at Intare doing chakamchaka. This is the same thing that NUP people were doing. I haven't seen any teacher being grabbed for doing chakamchaka in Intare last time.
What is it, Deus? Please speak to the microphone, sir.
It's not fair to compare it to, because chakamchaka is being done by and with the consent of the government. So you cannot call that illegal. But when you establish a school, okay, because the government has an interest to know what it is you are teaching the people of Uganda, whether it's a nursery school, whether you are teaching people about agriculture, how to plant a bean seed, whether you are teaching people about software engineering, about art, the government has an interest in knowing on behalf of the people of Uganda.
Okay.
So the two scenarios are not the same.
Okay.
Thank you so allow me also to add something. Thank you so much, Council Wenje. That was very brilliant. Also, my friend here should remember that when they were doing that chakamchaga you're talking about at Intare School, I don't think these teachers were asked for their party cards. It was general for teachers. But this time around, NUP was doing those military drills, just NUP as a party with inspections and all that. So I want to tell you.
But should that mean that they will now pick them up and throw them in basements and jails?
Not
and
necessarily basements, but they know where to put them. And I want to tell you that Banyaji, not all.
Can't run a military outfit in a country and expect to be
just to go. Of course not. This is not a failed state, Banyaji. Why you do whatever you want?
Is Nali Chankwazi, is it a military outfit? No.
It's not. That's why even civilians go there.
Same thing? Is it not the same thing?
Who does it?
Who
goes there? Who goes there?
The question is,
for Chankwazi.
you see, it is a government which is in control and administration of Nari.
Okay, conclude, sir.
And now,
And that's
this
where we
this
are.
is me saying, we are in a country which actually selectively applies its laws. It keeps away, it arrests whoever it feels like, depending on what they want them to know, be kept away for. For example, Sam Mugumya, you can see that he's clearly riding on the emotional background of Besigye being incarcerated to probably recapture Rukunjiri from NRM. He has been kept away now. Okay?
My failure wants to tell us that we don't have any other politician in Rukunjiri because Sam Gumya is not there.
The
No,
man who
I am
didn't
not
even
I
spend
am not
3
even
days
saying that.
in Rukunjiri.
And you're talking
You're
of
saying he's riding on the...
But
I am
if
not
the
saying that.
electricity
So-
is on him, then why not?
Yes, I mentioned it that is riding on an emotional background. I mentioned it.
He's not supposed to contest it.
Let's allow him conclude
Yes,
as we get
so-
to the lifeline of the show.
Finally,
Yes.
finally, Uganda, where we are going, we do not really hope for things to get better as far as the current trends are concerned. I personally don't have a lot of optimism, but when finally this establishment implodes on itself, the NRA establishment, Ugandans will take back the power that actually really belongs to them. People will take back their power. People will get back their freedom. And our constitution, which still stands, will actually, Uganda will become a democratic state once again, I believe, and fully hope for that to come in future. Which may not be today, may not be tomorrow, but it's surely coming, and they know it. Thank you.
We are now on the lifeline of the show. The telephone calls on 752-912-912 and 780-912-910. On Facebook and X, you can be able to drop us that message. I'll be able to read some of those. Now, Constant Brighton on X is saying it's not only General Tafire who realizes that Uganda's injustice, but also Uganda at large and a good number of MVPs in government. But they take a blind eye. It's President Museveni and his hierarchy of corruption who are above the law. At Kwasa Oscar is saying General Kahinda Tafire coming out and saying they should be tried in court after almost a year, to some extent shows his ministry is under captivity. And then Newamanya Edson is saying General Tafire's words should be taken seriously. Not all government officials are happy with what's going on in the country right now. Some are really unhappy. You're listening in from Kakoba at BSU. Akiki Frank, you're saying as long as we are still voting for an MP for more than one term, we shall never fight injustice in our country. Because these are the people that are supposed to fight these issues and be heard. Let the legislatures do their work. You're listening in all the way from Fort Portal. Thank you. Agre Dalima saying the only general that speaks his mind in silence has never been a solution to injustice. Otafide is alive, like his name, Bestia should be either released or a final decision should be made. On 752-912-912 and 780-912-910. The big set.
Yes, Mr. Wanyanya.
Yes, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Are you speaking Innocent from Chilura?
Yes, Innocent.
I'm humbled to be live in Cruise FM, but niza kwafukanawo na Madam Sifa Safi anshunge yagambawo omuruzungurukye orundi kumanyaho benyendeza okuforowinga kurebera Mr. Otafira benagamba. He wasn't selective on the issues. He talked about many things, including the many people have been abducted, the NUP members, the FDC members at large. So tubashimiye kubambagira ngu nagamba ahatekabesize wenka narish ekindi kintu. Then anshonga ya NUP okufuna signatures ninyebuzamu if it manages to get the requirement.
It's just unfortunate we lost you there, but I hope you can call back. Your contribution was right on point. Dallas Official on Facebook is saying, I like General Tafile's words and he impressed Ugandans. The erosion of judicial independence and the rule of law in Uganda could have far-reaching consequences, particularly in the context of the upcoming elections, where fairness and transparency are crucial. But all in all, Uganda will never have a free and fair election. You're listening again from Ishaka Vshenyi. Thank you. Tashovia Eli on Facebook is saying General Otafide's words are not of the crown priests of government. The government will do what it takes to remain in power. I have Da Costa. You're saying you're listening in from Chempara in Isinjuro. This government, everything is theirs anyway. We should go well, it's not very clear. At Hile Laos, you're saying all this is being done because the dictator or his dictates. I think the judiciary should be scrapped off. Oargava, Onesimus, you're saying you're in Rwankundo, in Buhweju. You're saying Uganda is under the arms. Well, it's not very clear. Ramadan, Tilisha, you're listening again, and you're saying there is no way through in Uganda. Do you think the government failing to pay its teachers for now 1 week? Then we go, well, thank you. On 752-912-912 and 780-912-910. The big set.
Hello?
Yes, caller.
Nasi Melgob Gambani. Mazina niye Ben Kato.
Yes, Ben.
Na tera Urbat Tagata.
Yes, Ben watch Tagata.
Happy. Yes, Tumyen, the Tagane Sara Gamkam. Abazao the Biha. Happy men, Yayi Nerata Gamangu, Umsaba Marikuri Sanga. Okuzawa Kazak Kanga Namburim Bagali, the Kamkin.
Kari, yeah, buddy. On 752-912-912 and 780-912-910. On Cruise TV, those that are watching, Super Bruno, you're listening in from Uganda, and then Akankunda Marvin, you're watching from Nyabobare in Rushenyi. Kansime Osbat, you're watching all the way from Dubai. Chembo Pius, you're watching from Kampala. Biamcha Benjamin, you're watching from Chapa League, thank you. Then Raymond Mugomani, you're watching from Nachivale. Kobumanzi Victoria, government's actions versus the rule of law. Otafile coming out to remind people the importance to uphold the Constitution and that the suspects are tried within a reasonable time isn't bad. Thank you, Kobumanzi Victoria, there for that contribution. You're watching all the way from Kampala. Then Akoraje, you're thanking us for the good work. Thank you. Andrew Tumusimi, you're saying thank you for the program and you're listening in from Kashari. I want to appreciate you. You're watching. Thank you. Mweti Sekenethi, you're watching from Dubai. Emily Heskey, you're saying Ugandan politics. Sapana. Muhwezi Innocent, you're sending shout-outs to the guild president, watching all the way. And all of you that are watching the show on Cruise TV, want to say thank you so much. You do us real good. Let me pick 1, 2, 3 calls before we come back into our second topic of discussion. Good morning. Yes, good morning.
Very good morning. This is Meti Post Cancer 2026-2021 Kajunj Parish. And I'm called Jordan Morata and I'm calling in from Tamko Kajunj Parish.
Yes, Jordan.
Straight to the issue. I think we have no difference between a state and a government. Because we have to differentiate between a state and a government. But we have the people who are above the law. That's the problem with Uganda. Because if you talk about the government, if you have the voice, then they don't want you to speak. Because for them, they say that they brought what we call the freedom of speech. And if someone can speak, you are now in the prison. I think the government have to differentiate between the state and the government because we are not even having what we call the rule of law. We are ruled by the...
Sorry that we didn't get to hear the last bit of what you were saying, but I want to appreciate you so much. The big set.
Councillor Westgate.
Yes, good morning. Are you still chairman, councillor? What is it exactly now?
I'm now an MC.
To the matter.
Yeah, so always a pleasure to organize me. And for those who don't know me, I'm called MC Muhereza, calling in from Katiban here in Kamwenge district.
And I want to thank you for loving this radio, and I can clearly tell you that we love you back.
I love Uganda, I love Cruise FM, I love the whole world, I love my country as Uganda.
Please, to the matter.
Council West Gate in Chigambo, Nyankore, Chicago, and Tanjin, which is already the Chican, which is a Kuro Nyankore. Okuzako Beokanga and Berango, Uganda. Ubuza kuvuga ubwamazi maninga shi ubutine ho kakwate ko nagaje kujango tibintu mu ryangine free and fair. Abukuba ninyi tukatango do yaho nkare baka video kweko yabe na baruburu obo bwa primaries. I was totally surprised. Akana argachi nanu.
Muhereza, this is unprecedented that airtime would get down before you finish. I think it is network. Muhereza is not that kind. But I want to appreciate you for those that have made the contribution on this topic. We want to talk about the statements of the Justice Minister now.
Allow me to conclude on this issue.
Please.
Of course, we want to remind Ugandans, myself in particular, that yes, that there is injustice, like we said, but there are other forms also. Talk of land grabbing, talk of taxes, which are like someone in Isinjo the other day was someone called in and said that they are overtaxed. Those are forms of injustices in Uganda. Let's not specifically look at political injustices, because forms of injustices in nyingi. Arabanya Uganda bakweta directly on politics. The other day I had people from Kalangala, they were saying that mazireho konka ko kuzayi watorotoro kutubira bakutera ozana kitanda, but abakushari miti nibamanywa baro konka tubakubakwata. That is injustice, social injustice. Aronde bide kushanga ngu abantu tubakubasa kuba protected in terms of mizi, ushanga ko wiza bakurushisi wato factory wasisha mizi konka abantu bakubenefitinga amizago bafune bizibendwara nebindi. So when you are talking of injustice, I want to thank the minister. Yes, you did that, but look at other forms also and ensure that it is like I said. I want to insist twareba abanya Uganda bona no biyakubariyo tine shiringi 10 mu nshaho no biyako boy nanka arcade za streets. They're all Ugandans. We should cater for all those, but also allow me to remind Ugandans that Article 50 of the Constitution of Uganda provides for, tells people, gives the people the right to, if you feel your rights are being violated, seek redress from courts of law that are competent. But I also want to remind Ugandans, I wish Council Benje would add on this. Some people cannot afford legal service fees, but there is what we call legal aid. You can be there, you can go there, contact people who know about it. Wota kubasa kushashura sente za abaloya, constitution is providing ngo bakwereze obuyambe bwa abaloya ninga shi services za abaloya utakushashura sente. So nacisha abantu bakibagambira omago kujya ngo muje muza kurwana na bembundu muza kurwana na police na mahe mujezo okurabo mu mihanda etakwija kubaretera ibizibu. Thank you.
We all heard the statements of Norbert Mao. I think Norbert helped a couple of political actors, because it has always been a public secret that the Democratic Front could be in cahoots with the NRM. It has not been a very big public secret that the FDC under Nandala Mafabi and Engineer Muriat are definitely in alliance with the NRM. We saw this at the iPod Summit engagement. Bruce Wakunda. Have the chickens come home to roast?
Thank you, Wanyaji. But I wish to conclude on the,
please,
on the last topic. Like they say, the law is a double-edged sword. It cuts both ways. Even those who believe that they can use the criminal justice system to persecute political opponents should be in the knowledge that at one point it is going to come back to haunt them. And there is a precedent. It has happened in the past. We've seen people who have been in charge doing such actions end up being victims of the same laws. And we cannot continue to initiate suits, Banyaji, when there is no legal basis for conviction. Already you are wasting court's time. You people are crying of case backlog time and again. You remand someone for 4 years. You don't even convict them. You don't compensate them like Sifa said. So they must look into that. About Norbert Mao and his statements, one, or authoritatively you can take it or leave it. There is no opposition political party that is not working with President Museveni and the NRM. It is just because some of them lack the courage to come out and speak about it publicly. It is for people like Mao who are brave enough to come out and formalize the arrangements and say we have a working cooperation agreement with Museveni and the NRM. But in functional democracies, coalitions, you see alliances, you see what is happening in Kenya between the Orange Democratic Movement and UDA. So opposition does not mean destruction. Does not mean that you must have contradicting and divergent views at all times. There will always be common ground. There will always be aspects when you can cooperate and say let's unite and transform our country. And I've said it time and again, one of the best qualities Museveni possesses is that he's a consummate consensus builder. He's always reaching out. He's always extending an olive branch. He's always looking out for people to bring them on board and they make a contribution. About transition, he made a very important statement and we must pay attention to it. He said it is going to happen in the boardroom. But the question of transition, the man who is going to be at the center of it has his cards close to his chest. These are our mere opinions which are subjective. We just map out scenarios and say this is likely to turn out like this, whether it is likely to be a coup, whether there is likely to be an introduction of a law so that the president is voted by parliament, or we are going to go into an election. These are just opinions which are subjective. But I want to agree with Norbert Mao. In my opinion, I believe there is going to be a negotiated political transition. If there is to be one, there is going to be a negotiated political transition. And like he said, all those he put in the same basket are working with Museveni. Even the others that were not put in that same basket, like SWAP. I don't know if Norbert Mao is aware of a political party called...
No, but he simply bangled up the rest because it was clear of the 5 and the rest are bangled up to be poisonous.
Yes, I believe SWAP should be in the same category with the DP, with the UPC, with the FDC. That's why I see the issues are going.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Perhaps I want to first remind my friend here from NUP that under Article 208 of the Constitution, no person shall raise a personal army. So I think as we go into those drills and so forth, you should be mindful of the law. You see, you can do that if you have removed the order of the day. But if you try to remove the order of the day and you do not succeed, you are going to be shot. That is the
Hans
Kelsen. Yes. So you have to do that if you are steadfast in removing the government of the day. Because first of all, you are not supported by the laws of the land then. Because the penal code says those unlawful work exercises are not allowed, of course. But of course, back to the point of the day. You see, those statements of his, and I read the Daily Monitor of yesterday, and the headline was transition is not going to come via the ballot. That was a very intimidating statement because it now usurps the power of the people. So as my friend here, Bruce, was of course kind of setting out in a proud way. Those boardroom discussions are not envisaged under Article 1, Clause 4 of the Constitution, which provides that the people of Uganda shall have the right and opportunity to choose a leader of their choice every after 5 years. So, and this provision does not foresee or envisage a cabal of people sitting in a boardroom and then deciding who should be the next president of our country. Okay? So, and it is actually even more absurd that it is coming from a Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. So now, where is the chairperson of the EC? He's very quiet there. So he's actually now, his mandate is no more. Okay? Because the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs is telling you that no matter what you organize, it will be inconsequential. So in effect, the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, if he's not the Minister of Injustice and Unconstitutional Affairs, is telling us that there's no point in you going for 2026 election. So, and I don't know why even NUP is trying to ask for more signatures. Because even he himself knows that the circumstances, the environment prevailing in 2021 on that day of the 14th of January are not going to change. There will not be internet on that day. The paparazzi are not going to be allowed to cover the election. The UPDF and the SFC are going to be everywhere. Mohoz Kinergabe is going to be entirely in defense of the NRM. So where are you going? So of course, he said he also stated that it's going to be the quietest election. That's also strange, and of course it is not good, because why should it be a quiet election? Why?
Why should it be rowdy?
Okay.
Perhaps you could answer that.
Why?
Why should it be loud?
Yes, because there's no law saying that an election has to be quiet. So why do you want to impose a quiet election on the people? So and of course, Mao, I think, has forgotten that just a short period of time ago, he was a member of the opposition. But actually, even if he's a minister of cabinet, he should be alive to the fact that he has the cardinal duty of abiding by the constitution.
Thank you.
Respect the rights of the people. Our constitution does not foresee transition. It only foresees succession and transition as per the mandate of the people.
Mr. Ho.
Yes.
The statements of the Justice Minister, he bungled you up with a group of very poisonous political actors who are not in the middle of things of where all that is happening to shape the future of our country. Does that worry you?
First of all, it does not worry us. History will exonerate us. History will, it will be on record that when the people of Uganda needed, this should be our third revolution, that when the people of Uganda needed fourth revolution or something like that, this group of 5 political organizations stood with the then establishment, and a group of toxic, I think here it's us, NUP, and maybe PFF and ANT, a group of, a small group of political parties stood their ground and stood with the people. We have seen really this government take the state by, all the 3 organs of the state. Actually, they have they use them. It's just really their machinery. We no longer really have an executive, a legislature, and a judiciary which are independent. We have seen after of course the president realizing from the referendum that the people of Uganda, if it came to actually making decisions that pertain to his stay in power, they might not really support him from that referendum, which introduced multi-party politics. He now resorted to parliament, took over parliament, and he rubber stamps his decisions and his wishes with parliament. So it's really rather absurd. Yeah, we may be branded as toxic. Definitely in a time like this, and with what we are facing, you may not blame us for being toxic at times. We are being, picked up, bundled up, arrested. I mean, you cannot blame, for example, Besigye for taking the stance he takes, because this is a man who has really suffered with the establishment of the rule in Uganda here. So while we are being bundled, we take it with a lot of pride, because some of us do not wish to associate with the establishment that is in government right now. We know some of the goods it has come with, but then we also know many of the failures. We know many of the things that they take as achievements, but in reality, these are not even achievements. I mean, how do you brag about, for example, only 4,000 kilometers of tarmac road in 40 years? So it does not worry us. History will exonerate us. And when the time is right, people like Norbert Mao will swallow their words. We remind them that we told them. When some of them are used and dumped, we remind them that we told them.
Thank you so much, Ariho Lucky, for being a part of the conversation this morning. Sifa Safi, Norbert Mao, and the transition being in boardrooms rather than generally into the populace of Uganda. Does that augur well with you?
Thank you, Banyaji. For me, first of all, it wasn't surprising because it was foreseeable. And Honorable Norbert Mao is one of those politicians we know who does not make utterances for the sake of it. And of course, talking about alliances, there is nothing wrong if you asked me with opposition parties being in alliance or relating or connecting or actually combining with government, to develop the country. It's only those, like I said, who are still playing the cheap politics, who think that you should not even see eye to eye with the president or someone in a leading political party. So that is good, and it is Norbert Mao is just being realistic. Only that some people shy away from speaking the truth, but for him, just like we know, has always been out with things. He speaks about something, and in most cases we see that thing happening because he just makes, I think, research and has information about it first. Whether it should be silent or what transition, I think the most important thing is, are Ugandans involved? Are they part of it? And someone might think that being part of it means voting here and there like we see. But when you have parliament, for example, and we have MPs who we think the presumption should be that these people represent the people that elect them. So if they choose to have people who will speak on behalf of us to do the transition, all we want is a peaceful transition. If you ask me, all I want is a peaceful transition. How it is done might matter, but I might not have a say on it. So for me, I'm asking those who are in charge of this country to ensure that whatever or however they do it, the country remains peaceful. Because at the end of the day, it is peace that is paramount for everything, development in terms of education, health, like I've always said here, and everything. So for me, we might not have much to say or to change about what is going to be done, but what we can say is our voices calling for peace. Thank you so much.
Let me get back to Ariho. The reason I'm getting back to you is the Democratic Front was literally in a secret alliance with the NRM.
Yes.
There was a war at Kavule about the deputy president of the party for Central Region, the Honorable Matthias Mpuga. And now you hear Justice Minister saying, this man is a part of us. And in the grand scheme of things, he will actually be a part of the next government.
Yeah.
What is your reading of that particular individual in as regards to its association with the movement?
Definitely, it didn't really come as a surprise. I mean, we knew this. It hadn't been out in the open yet. When history tells you when they were tussling, when they were at loggerheads with the party, that is Matthias Mpuga and the party leadership, over the service hour, the 500 million, you saw the government coming out and defending this man. Was this money given according to the law? Yes. Was it passed by parliament? Yes. So why you even the president wrote a letter defending this man? So I mean, it was really an open secret. Are
you now glad that green snake in green grass was definitely put in the cabin?
For us, it actually just goes to show that what we feared from the first place and the stand we took as a party was the right one, because this was, just someone hiding amongst us. And if it actually wasn't, I personally believe if it wasn't an implication to his being in parliament, he would have come out of NUP officially much earlier. But of course, because of the law that doesn't allow them to leave their official political parties until 1 year before elections, he could not officially leave the party. But we always knew that he wasn't really part of it.
My young brother is not saying is that Mpuga is like John the Baptist.
Yes.
He's preparing the way for the coming of the Messiah.
Who is the Messiah?
Bobby Wine coming to a coalition there.
It's been a fantastic show. Thank you, Mr. Bruce Wakunda. Thank you, Council Bwenje Dos did it. Thank you, Mr. Ariho Laki, the Guild President from Bara University of Science and Technology. Thank you, Big Seat Asifa Safi. Let's meet next Saturday on the Big Seat. My name is West Givanyaji. God bless you. We have news at the top of the hour. The Premier League is on. And be sure that we shall give you the best commentary in Uganda. For those that are going for the Chapa League and having a blast around the city,
as a competition,
yes,
the Uganda Law Source, the Bishop Stewart Law Society, I think,
has
had
a sports
competition
gala,
there.
yes.
Had a sports gala.
Oh,
And I think after here I'm heading there.
Okay. Blessings. Let's catch up next weekend. Good morning.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of this radio station or its management.
This radio is regulated by Uganda Communications Commission, UCC.